Jumping right back into it.
Yeah,
here.
Little hiatus.
Yeah.
Holidays and some snow.
Yeah. We were celebrating.
And Thanksgiving.
Well, that's the holiday.
Yeah.
I just said it.
You can never be sure these days.
But we got a good show, hopefully, to come back to. We have Maniac, a Netflix show. Narcos.
Nartflix.
Narflix. It's a Narflix show.
Which is also on Netflix.
We are out of practice.
And then we're going to watch the trailer for His Dark Materials, which has started but is not over yet on HBO, right?
Yes.
Okay. But first, since it's been a while, have you guys just been watching anything good lately?
Well, I'm excited about the 3rd season of Miss Maisel coming out.
Yes.
That's exciting. I've actually been watching Dark Materials and Watchmen. I've been on an HBO kick. Those are both very good. And I'm excited to talk about Dark Materials later. But Watchmen is quite a show. I don't know if anyone's been following that, but that's the show. We might have even talked about it on here before, that it's been tried or attempted before by movies, and it's kind of a hard story and comic to follow. And it makes sense because the show is maybe the most complicated show I've seen.
More than Westworld?
More than Westworld. I don't know. It's like,
wow.
Oh boy.
Well, maybe not. It's different. It's different, but it makes sense. You're not lost, but it is like a crazy
Doesn't it
scenario.
touch on actual events in history?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, it's like a spin on it. But it's just like a crazy. They kind of spin this whole web, and then at the beginning, first half of the season, and then they start connecting things, and you're like, oh. And whenever you get that in a show, it's great. It feels good, but there's a million of them, and they just keep connecting stuff. And there'll be whole episodes that you're just like, that's why all of that makes sense. And I don't know, that's always fun. It's like these big reveals, but it's basically the whole second half of the season. So not to get into Watchmen too much, but
I know
very
it's something.
intrigued.
Yeah, it's something I have wanted to see because I see it a lot on Twitter and stuff. I think it's a big show. It seems like HBO shows seem to be big Twitter shows. People watch it and then go right to Twitter and have a discussion about it.
Well, that's that release once a week thing.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, what's going to happen next? Let's discuss, let's guess, fan theories, all that stuff.
I watched, just finished the 3rd season of The Crown.
Ooh.
Where it's really cool because they change the entire cast. It's first 2 seasons, they have this plan. I guess the writer has this plan. He's doing 6 seasons because it's about, Queen Elizabeth. She's still alive, so it's 6 seasons. So the first 2 were, Claire Foy was the queen, and then they had all these actors playing all these specific people, John Lithgow was Winston Churchill. And then season 3, Olivia Colman becomes the queen. She just won Best Actress last year at the Oscars for playing a queen. And the craziest thing to me is it is legitimately Claire Foy just aged 20 years. They're so, and I know they're playing a person.
So it's
you
supposed
get,
to be different times of age?
So
yeah. Okay.
they actually kind of just address the elephant in the room in the very first scene of the very first episode of the season. It is Olivia Colman looking at 2 stamps, and one stamp is Claire Foy, and one is her because and she's just yeah, I'm an old bag now. She's just oh,
wow.
They're just here we go. This is a new cast. Get used to it.
Yeah.
And
That's
Helen
cool.
Bonham Carter plays her sister, and her kids are grown up. And then this really does touch on things that really happened. Season 4 is going to have Princess Diana, and Margaret Thatcher. So it's really cool, and it's so well acted. It is insane. They have people playing Buzz Aldrin and blanking on Neil Armstrong. That's pretty bad. So they do the whole moon landing episode. So it's actual things that really happen. And then also, I am just about to finish the series of Silicon Valley, which is completely different, but it's so good.
Nice.
What about you?
I just started and am almost done because it's just one season so far with Dirty John. It's on Netflix now. It's Connie Britton's new show, but it's based on a true story of this guy. I don't know like the full story yet because I'm waiting for the show to finish before I look it up. But he was like this ultimate like scammer who like just was known for like since he was like in college, he would just like date women just to like get their money and like just like scam every single person he met, and he always got away with it. And like he was a super like violent, like threatening guy, but like he always got away with it.
Jeez.
And she's like the last person that he like tried to scam, but like she catches on, but like it's like how he like tried to ruin like her whole family and everything, but like she's the only one who's kind of like fighting back, and like I assume that she succeeds. I think she's the one that kind of brings it to light. So they made a show about it.
Is it like a thriller, scary show?
It's like a drama, but there is like thriller like moments because he's really creepy. Ooh. And like there's parts where like she'll go into the house to like try to get her stuff, and like he's there, and you're like, oh, like he's gonna like kill her or something, but then like she just is able to leave. But like there's so many moments where it's like, oh my gosh, and it's like one of those shows that while you're watching, you're like, I can't believe this actually happened. Like, how is this real?
Yeah.
Right.
But she's really good in it.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm watching that, and I think that's it.
And did Castle Rock finish?
Tonight is the last episode.
I saw you posted something that said, welcome to Castle Rock. Is it another season?
So I think there will be another season, but most of the show is filmed in a town near Amherst, which is where I went to college. So I was there this past weekend, and we were like, why don't we just like drive there? It's only like 20 minutes away, and it's like the whole town is like so proud that they were in Castle Rock.
That's so
they
cool.
have stuff everywhere.
Oh, that's cool.
I just heard a podcast with Tim Robbins, and he said the host was like, how was it learning a Boston accent for Mystic River? And he was like, it was fine. I'm learning a Maine one now for the show I'm in now, and he's the mayor of in Castle Rock. Mm-hmm. That's what he said. And he said it's just, he was talking about it being like a really scary show, and but yeah, something I haven't watched yet.
I haven't seen that yet either.
He's really good in it too. Tim Robbins.
Cool.
So yeah.
So that's been our last couple weeks.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing. All right, so I guess we can jump right into Maniac. Which I don't think you've seen.
I've seen one. I saw the first episode.
Oh.
And I liked it. And I don't know what happened. I just stopped watching it, really. Mm-hmm.
Do you recall what it was about?
I remember Jonah Hill was like depressed, and there was a medical study. I don't know if it went that far into it.
That's
like
the basics.
Yeah, that's all. I don't really remember Emma Stone much from that first episode.
I think they might have done like the first episode focused on him, and then the
second okay. Yeah, okay.
But I have a trailer, so
great.
Maybe that'll help.
Do you know where you are right now?
I'm in a drug trial.
What do you think is wrong with you?
I'm sick. That I don't matter.
What would you say this trial is showing you about yourself?
Is this therapy now?
It's not therapy. It's science. Once you begin to appreciate the structure of the mind, there's no reason to believe that anything about us can't be changed. Pain can be destroyed. The mind can be solved.
How many of your subjects have ended up catatonic?
0, roughly.
My head doesn't work right. I thought maybe these people could fix me. Sounds stupid.
That doesn't sound stupid to me.
Okay, people, let's begin.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
My mind is playing tricks.
anti-reality brain magic.
I don't know what's real and what's not.
Something's wrong. What did you do?
Come on, wake up! Every time I separate them, they just find their way back together.
You're not protecting those people in there.
Wow, that's something, huh?
Yeah, I remember that being like kind of a big deal because HBO has done a bunch of limited series where it's like, here you get 8 to 10 episodes and that's it. We're not coming back with it. They did it with The Night Of, and then Band of Brothers did that, The Pacific. And then this was like one of the first ones Netflix did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'll take a crack at it. Basically, there's a study going on that is working on taking people who struggle with addiction and mental health diseases and all this like stuff, and it's trying to take away their pain by mapping their brains and kind of using that technology with like a supercomputer to like go through their memories and the pain that they feel and things that have happened to them, and kind of like through fantasies and like alternate realities work through those issues to like face them and confront them and get over it. But it's this like drug computer brain mapping, like weird, you saw in the trailer, like they're in like a room with all this tech around them. So it's kind of a cross between all those types of, actual like a pill they take, the brain rewiring, and then like some supercomputer that like helps them create these realities. All those things come together to try to give them this therapy that will help them feel better and not be sick or, struggle with the things that they struggle with.
So it's funny, as you were saying that, I thought something, and then I looked, and you wrote it down, that it's like Black Mirror. It's just like it could be like...
So each episode, they kind of like go into each other's fantasies / memories, and they kind of like have to confront the pieces that they struggle with within those episodes, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I remember it.
And I don't think it's like it's hinted at in the trailer, is that like what's weird is Emma Stone and Jonah Hill are having the same like visuals and like dreams, and they're always finding each other in them. So then that's also kind of the mystery for like the two scientists who are really like wacky characters for the show. They're kind of like, why is this happening? Like, this isn't supposed to be happening. Yeah.
It's definitely a quirky like vibe. It's kind of, it's futuristic. They kind of get outside, like in the real world, outside of the experiment. They show Emma Stone's kind of backstory and what's his name?
Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill's kind of backstory with his family and kind of why they struggle with the stuff that they struggle with. But it's very like futuristic and what else was the I forget what I was going to say, but basically they do a bunch of different things to show that's a future thing, and this is like new medicine and new tech and that kind of vibe, which is a cool premise, so.
Yeah, and I think it like dances on the line of like, it's a really serious concept, but then sometimes like with some of the characters, something so weird will happen that you're like, what? Like, how does that connect to the darkness that's kind of going on? But like the characters just provide like the weirdest little like, it's usually from the scientists too. When something super terrible is happening to like one of the patients, they're like dealing with like something very like odd in like the tech room or something.
It's quirky like that, and there's a whole like subplot with the scientists and where their story and how they came to be doing this and the things that they struggle with. So it's kind of a quirky like weird vibe. It's dark, but it's also kind of like, I don't know, lighthearted or like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's weird. Yeah, but pretty intense show, if I remember it correctly. It, like, there's some pieces of them struggling and like the stuff that they like go through, and they're trying to get at the brain and the struggles that people have, and so that's the part that kind of makes it intense and how they're dealing with it, and you kind of feel bad for them. And then it's just like a strange scenario that they're
So
going
from the trailer, it seemed like it has like crazy set designs and sets, and like it seems like they go different places. Time, like it seemed like there was something from the 40s there, but also like Lord of the Rings. So is that just all part of like their dreams? And
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, basically it's like these scenarios they're like, I don't think they're like memories. It's almost more like a fantasy or something that they kind of are put into, and it's so that they can confront a part of the thing that they struggle with.
And I think it's cool, like, as the viewer, for most of each episode where they're somewhere crazy, you don't really know why they're there or like what's going on. And then for the most part in the end, like, you kind of see the connection to like, oh, Emma Stone's character saw this because of like this one thing that happened in her life.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of was blown up to something really like creative and like Lord of the Rings or something. But it's cool to be like, oh, that's why like she saw that. And it makes sense, even though it was really bizarre.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's like little bits of truth in each of those little stories. Basically, each episode, like as it gets going, it's kind of like Black Mirror with little like stories or scenarios that they're going through. But in each of them, there's those little pieces that they're trying to figure out. So it does actually tie back and make sense, which makes it a super unique show. The way that they like did it, and yeah, there's different sets and kind of all over the place. It's not one thing the whole time. So yeah, it's definitely unique in that way.
So who would have thought Emma Stone and Jonah Hill from their Superbad days would turn into these like amazing Academy Award nominated and winning actors? But is there a favorite character? Because like Sally Field's in it and Justin Theroux, those are 4 huge names.
Yeah. Sally Field was the mom.
Justin Theroux's mom, yeah.
Yeah. I think I like Emma Stone's character. Just she was kind of like the down. She had the drug addiction thing, but she was just trying to cope, and you find out why she is the way she is, and you feel bad that she's gone through the things that she has, but I guess she was more just that like root for that character type of thing. Yeah, and Jonah Hill was he's good too, but I don't want to give away too much. But he was in a bind as well, and that kind of pushed him to the edge. So, but I think I like Emma Stone's character a little bit better.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like when we talked about the show Love and the character Mickey.
Yeah,
It's the same kind of thing of
right.
like when someone can play like a complicated, intense, but like still sympathetic character. I think it's like really impressive, and she nails it in this.
Yeah.
She always nails it in whatever
Yeah,
she's in.
She's good.
But Justin Theroux, I think, was like the biggest like comedy relief. So I did like his character for the most part.
Yeah. That's where the quirkiness comes in.
Yeah.
So so a thing some people I have said about shows before, and actually Ari said this once about Dexter. There was an ending to Dexter where she was like, we had to stop. I had to take a break.
Oh, yeah.
In this, the show seems heavy. Is it something that you can watch just over and over and over? Or is it something like you watch a couple episodes and you're like, oh, I'm going to chew on that. I'm going to hold up.
I do feel like it left you feeling kind of like weird after, because it was that like trippiness, and you're like, I kind of get what they're doing. It was kind of dark, and I'm kind of like, but it was kind of just weird too, and you're like left trying to figure it out. So I don't think you have to stop, but maybe you like watch like one a night, like type of move. Like so you can be like, okay, and then like watch The Office and The Good Place. Like,
Yeah.
It wasn't like scary or anything, but it's just like it was just like kind of like a lot to dissect and like figure out, I guess.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I did like one a night. Just because, it was a lot to take in. Like, you can follow it, but it's almost like you don't want it too much in one night because it's a lot. And then I took a break in, like, the middle part of the season and then tried to come back to it, like, I think a month later. Not because I didn't like it. I just kind of, like, forgot about it. And it was, like, a little wild to suddenly start it again and be like, wait, what? Like, I think the one I came back in on was Lord of the Rings episode. I was like, what? I don't remember anything like this. But yeah, I think that was just because.
So it should be. So what are there, like 8, 9, 10 episodes?
It's like 8.
Yeah, it's not many.
So like in a week, maybe 2 weeks, try and get it all in, because like I feel like you were saying it's a confusing. Oh no, that was Watchmen. I'm confused.
Kind of
yeah,
confusing.
but so is it something like a Westworld where you're like, oh, I don't want to get too far from this because I'll forget everything? Or is it like I understand that I'm sure the episodes tie in, but is it like a direct tie-in or?
No, so I think the reason you gotta like let it marinate a little bit is because it's kind of so ridiculous and like trippy that you're like kind of processing the whole thing, but you only need those parts that are relatable to their life, and then you kind of string them together throughout the episode to understand like what they're going through, what they're dealing with, what the actual story is. But there's just so much, because of the plot of it, there's just so much other stuff that you're like, whoa, what? Why does that matter? Or is it just this piece that I'm pretty sure matters? Like, and it's just kind of like deduce it down a little bit.
So it's not like Good Place or Parks and Rec where you can just sit and watch 4 hours of it.
No.
But you don't want to wait too long.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Some episodes I think were only like a half hour or like less. So it's one of those like random ones where some are like 45 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could binge it, but you just be like, whoa, that was a crazy thing.
Yeah. And I think just like the parts where sometimes when it talks about like why they are the way they are, it just gets like, it's not even like it's super like sad or dark, but it's just like you're finding out darker things about some of the characters. So like maybe sometimes you'd be like, oh, I'm feeling kind of bummed out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is very much like Black Mirror. You could watch 2 episodes and you're like, nothing there was good.
Yeah. Like they're still sad.
The world is scary and sad.
But yeah.
Cool.
Either way.
But I would definitely recommend.
Yeah.
It's worth the watch. It's entertaining, and it's definitely, like I said earlier, unique in the fact that it's just like a very different approach at telling like this kind of story.
Yeah. And I think it's really cinematic too.
Yeah.
Each episode, when it gets into like the dream parts, I think some of like the sets, like you said.
Yeah, that's what stood out in that trailer. It's like that was a full-on. She looked like Legolas, and then she's, you know, she looks like a woman in the 40s and all that stuff. It just seems like they really put a lot of detail into like timing and location and stuff.
Yeah. Pretty good.
That's all I have to say on that.
Check it out.
Yeah. So do you guys just want to move right on to Narcos or take a break?
Let's dive right in.
Go for it.
I have not seen Narcos, so.
Have you?
I have. I've seen the first 2 seasons.
2. Okay.
Have you seen the 3rd season?
I've seen all 4.
Oh, there's 4.
Because there's Mexico, right?
Narcos Mexico, so I guess it's separate. Some things tie in, but.
All right. Well, you can take us the rest away if we need to.
Yeah.
I have a trailer for the first season.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Imagine you were born in a poor family, in a poor country. And by the time you were 28 years old, you have so much money you can't even count it. What do? You make your dreams come true. Welcome to the Medellin cartel. Pablo was pulling in more than $5 million a week.
Estás gastando mucha plata, Pablo.
Usted lava el dinero. Eso no fue lo que hizo Al Capone, pues.
Al Capone nunca tuvo tanto billete, Pablo.
I'm Steve Murphy, drug enforcement agent.
What do you do at the United States Embassy?
I am in janitorial services.
Your embassy must be very clean.
You bet your it is. This is my partner, Javier Pena, who figured the best way to get inside narco information was to hang out with the same women they did.
Can anybody in this country keep a secret?
Everybody works for somebody.
They were violent, crazy, and filthy rich. Guys used to getting what they want. One way or another.
So, I knew that was a true story. Like, I know the bare minimum of a true story. But my first thought when I watched the trailer for this was, oh, so it's like Breaking Bad, but a true story. Like, I kind of got
Well, it's funny you
similar
say that
vibes.
because when you watch it, like Breaking Bad, you're like, man, Pablo Escobar is a horrible person, but the acting of Pablo Escobar is so good, you're like, I like this guy. And then you like see the stuff he does and like, okay, I'm not rooting for Pablo Escobar,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just like Walter White in Breaking Bad. You're like, everything he's doing is despicable, but you kind of are rooting for him. And it's like, well, you are rooting for Walter White, I would say, but in this, you're like, I don't want to admit this, but I'm kind of rooting for Pablo to get out of this.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because I feel like it's interesting when the main character is someone who's a bad person.
Yeah, the whole anti-hero thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is another one of those, like, I can't believe it's true. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
know.
It's like, I mean, I'm sure they embellish a little as far as, like, cinematically and everything, but just all the accounts and what happened is true.
Yeah.
And, like, that's just crazy. The amount of money, the scale of, like, the operation, and the fact that the American DEA is there because of everything that's getting transported into America. And, like, it's just like a crazy thing that even happened.
So it's based off a book called Killing Pablo. So that I think one of the American narco agents wrote.
Oh, wow.
So
I didn't know that.
I
That's
think
cool.
a lot of it might be true, which is when you watch it, it's like, oh my God.
Right.
The 80s, 70s and 80s were a wild time.
Yeah. But I guess for anybody who doesn't know the story, Pablo Escobar is a drug kingpin in
Medellin.
which is in
It starts with an E. I can't-
Ecuador.
Nope. No, Colombia.
Colombia.
Not an E. Colombia.
Yes, right. We knew that. It's been a little bit since I've seen this show. And they're transporting their money or their drugs into America and all over the place. And they have a ton of money that they're laundering like through different things. And then this show kind of takes the DEA and Pablo and kind of shows both sides going back and forth. What Pablo's up to and his moves, and then how the DEA is going to try to catch him. So it does that like kind of like a cop show almost, but not, because they're also playing the like the cartel and how the operations are going and what Pablo Escobar is like trying to figure out and do and all this stuff. So it's cool because you're kind of like hoping the DEA agents like figure out the next spot, the next drop, whatever it is, and you're kind of following that. And at the same time, you're like, oh, like Pablo Escobar is building an empire, like that's cool and bad, but cool. And then like it gets political because he ends up running for
Yeah, he ran for like president, maybe something.
president of Colombia
Yeah.
or something, and I think he won.
I think he did.
He won,
Whatever
he was
it
in
was.
office for a little bit. So there's like a whole political thing with the military there, and there's people. A lot of it is like everyone knows him, but they can't like pin him down. You know what I mean? Like they can't necessarily get him on. Like it's got to be hard evidence and like red-handed and that kind of stuff. And then different things happen, some terrorism stuff, some other shady stuff, and eventually like they've got enough to try to get him. He goes to prison, but he like takes over the prison and makes it like a country club, basically.
Yeah.
And he like runs his business out of this like prison, which is he's just pulling strings left and right. So it's kind of just his whole story and kind of that and the DEA's involvement in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny because you do like you love Pena and Murphy.
Yeah.
But you also kind of like Pablo, and it's like you said, both sides. And it's so crazy because like none of us were alive, so like we know this happened. You hear about Pablo Escobar, but when you hear the full story, it's just like this is unbelievable. Like, but it also is interesting because at the same time, so the Medellin cartel was Pablo Escobar because they were in Medellin, but there's also the Cali cartel, which is in Cali, Colombia. So that's an interesting wrinkle, and that's actually what season 3 is. Yeah. It's trying to take down the Cali cartel, and it's just because they know it's basically you get into like the turf war thing. They know each other, Pablo and the Cali cartel, and they're trying to one up each other. It's just like a crazy story, and you can it's like constant cliffhangers, constant what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think season 1's probably his like rise to. Like you kind of get the
Pretty
lay of
much,
the
yeah.
land, you get the D agents coming down, you're gonna get what they're up to, you get Pablo's kind of backstory and what he's up to. By the end of the first season, I think he's in prison, and they like end up having to raid the prison with like an army, and he gets away. And then the second season is kind of this like cat and mouse game of like police versus cartel, and there's deaths left and right, and like trying to take out big players on both sides, trying to get Pablo, and so that's just like that in itself is like more of a intense back and forth, running, hiding, moving families, and trying to keep everybody safe or whatever, and it's just this like kind of battle that goes on, and then after that, does Pablo, I don't know.
Well, if you can guess from what the book is called that the series is based off of, and if you do a quick Google search, Pablo Escobar is no longer with us.
So he dies at the end of the second season.
But that's the whole story is like this actual DEA agents, like there's like a famous picture from when it happened like on a rooftop and like, and then the third season is kind of the Cali cartel being like, okay, he's gone. We're it.
Right.
The Medellin cartel is done. It is just us. And what's cool is then Narcos Mexico is happening, completely different season, completely different actors, but it happens at the same time. So they reference it. They reference like what's going on in Colombia. Because in Narcos Mexico, they're selling pot. That's what that's about. And they keep saying, well, Colombia, they're selling something else and they're making more money. And the whole thing is like, no, we have this, we're going good, but should we get into that? So that's what that adds to it.
Okay.
So it's just a crazy timeline of events in
Right.
South America and Central America. It's crazy.
Yeah, because I saw that they were gonna have Mexico just be like more seasons of just Narcos, but then they made it a separate series just because it was different enough that I think they just separated it. But
Right.
that's cool that it's at the same time.
Yeah, well, and another cool thing was the like head is named Miguel in Narcos Mexico, and he has a driver, and it's this really short guy that everyone kind of makes fun of, and they're like, "What do they call you? What do they call you?" And he says Chapo, and in the news, El Chapo is the head of the Mexican drug cartel now, and so I like looked it up and I was like, wait a second, and I was like, oh, it is him. So it's like him. So I think that Narcos Mexico can keep going because he's escaping through holes in jails now, like still today in 2019. So I think that has like legs, because the way it ended, it still has like, they didn't solve the drug problem. So that's what's really cool about it. It's kind of like what I was talking about earlier with The Crown. It's like a story you can play off of because of actual events that is still an issue now.
Yeah. Like, it'll probably never, when one person goes down, like, there's
Right.
going to be someone else who just kind of keeps it going.
Yeah, and it's funny because they could do like Narcos America, just like with like Miami or whatever, like San Juan, things like that. It's just really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch just because I feel like I'm amazed that I didn't know half of the story of Pablo Escobar.
We were talking about that straight out of Compton yesterday. Sorry, a little derail, but it's cool to learn about history basically through like a theatrical telling of a story.
Yeah.
So like straight out of Compton with all of that and this Pablo Escobar story and like there's a million of them and it's just they just did Rocket Man and like the Queen Bohemian Rhapsody. Like I don't know. They do stories on history all the time, but it's just cool to see
and
what actually happened.
It's cool when it's like like I said, the moon landing thing. I remember over the summer, because this summer was the 50th anniversary, but you can go to your parents and say, what, do you remember it?
Yeah.
And like I asked my dad over the summer and he's like, yeah, everyone watched it. It was insane that it was happening. So all these stories that are getting told now are just like our parents lived through them. Like the movie Pearl Harbor came out like early 2000s and it's like our parents didn't live through that. They're like their parents, our grandparents did, and it's just like now history's catching up. Like it's just cool. And
I mean, there's tons of movies that are about history, historic events. It makes sense, but it is helpful to watch them and know what kind of happened. You know, rather than read a history book or whatever, a textbook.
Yeah.
And rather like, I don't know,
give me a great production value,
and a character account and like how it all goes. So
that's another thing is Narcos was like definitely shot on location. I don't know exactly where, but it just looks awesome. Like so many helicopter shots, like flying over the jungle.
It's a super cool story.
Yeah.
And, like, Netflix did an awesome job like telling it and
in
making it look
the period
authentic.
piece of it, like the cars and just like you're finding out everything on a crappy TV with like Ronald Reagan footage talking. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
Wasn't it too, I might be wrong about this, but I feel like it was Netflix's like first big like original series that kind of like took off, or one of them at least.
I think it was around the same time as Stranger Things, the first one. Because Stranger Things been a little spaced out. Might have been a little before.
That.
I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, I would say it was up there. Like I remember seeing trailers for it and being like, "Oh, this looks cool. I'll definitely watch this." And now you're just so used to it. It's like you just turn Netflix on and they start automatically playing a trailer or something. And
now it's just like one of like 500.
Yeah.
On Netflix.
A lot of reading though, because there a lot of Spanish in it. They don't just have like an accent and speaks English. It's in Spanish, which just adds to it. It adds like authenticity. And
yeah, they did a good job. I don't remember it being distracting.
And
or
Pedro Pascal's awesome because he's bilingual and now he's just in everything. I wonder, this was kind of like his first thing, right?
Yeah.
If it was like 5 or 6 years ago. I think it was, yeah.
Probably the first thing that made him big,
Yeah.
I do want to watch it.
Yeah.
Mostly just because of the Mandalorian.
I know.
Even though we haven't even seen his face.
I know.
So is it a show that, will you want to like watch it quickly? Or is it like a...
Yeah, so there's like a lot of violence. Because Pablo was not a good guy, and then the police just didn't care because the DEA agents and police in Colombia were dying, so it's kind of ruthless, but it is like cliffhangers. It is like them trying to catch Pablo, but him being one step ahead, so they like think they've got it, end of the episode, they don't, and then they have to figure out what went wrong. So
yeah, it's not so much a digesting, it's more of a reveal. You know what I mean? So you're wanting to watch the next one, because you want to see, did he make it out? Did they figure it out? Did they catch up to him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So rather than like, how do I feel about this? You know what I mean? It's just like, oh wow, that just blew up. That's crazy. You know? So it's more that than like Maniac.
And it's very, like I said with the El Chapo thing, it's like you hear something and then you just like Google it and you're like, oh my God, that like, like that drug bust for $2 billion really happened. It's just like crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So definitely worth a watch.
What would you say like the strongest part of it was for you? Like the acting or?
I would say, yeah. The fact that the actor makes you want to root for Pablo Escobar. He's like, and the memes that came out of it.
I think just depicting the operation and the scale of it, it's like, wow, that's insane. You know what I mean? And they do a good job, and like there's the like glam of it with the parties and the thing, and you're like, this is just like a crazy lifestyle that they like went from poor to this like mansions and money and everything you want, cars. So it's just cool to see like how that operation came up, is run, and like what it created.
And it's also so interesting to see like what causes downfalls. Obviously there's like the greed and wanting more and more, like in the trailer it said that you have too much money, you're spending too much cash and all that. But it's always just like his cousin has this annoying person and they one little slip up and the DEA is on it and it's just so interesting.
Yeah,
the little
and
cat
they got
and
to take
mouse.
care of the cousin.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I'm sold. The trailer was so good too. Like, all the ones I watched, I was like, they did a really good job of making this. Like, I want to watch it now.
Yeah, I think I watched the first two pretty much back to back, and then there wasn't a third for a little bit, and that's why
I think it has been spaced out.
Yeah,
I think between 3 and
at the end of the
Narcos
second.
Mexico, it was like 2 years.
yeah, and Pablo dies at the end of the second, so I was like, wow, that's kind of
Yeah, yeah.
My favorite character right now. Alright, well, you guys kind of addressed everything I would have asked about it.
Good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we move right along then?
Yeah, let's dive right into it.
His Dark Materials. So we have the trailer. The trailer looks really good.
I set out for the north some 12 months ago, and this is the first of the discoveries I made. A myriad of worlds, of which the Magisterium controls only one.
For centuries, they have been trying to keep us where they want us, on our knees.
You promised the Magisterium you'd control Azrael.
Then we'll need to take the matter into our own hands.
Lyra, there's a great change coming that will threaten us all. I'm going to give you something.
What does it do?
It has a part to play in all this. And a major one.
Tell me where the alethiometer is, or I will destroy all of this.
We represent a number of families who have lost children. This is war.
I think this can help.
She can read the alethiometer. She will be more valuable to us than any soldier we have. We'll get our children back.
You may have a heart, but the Magisterium have a muscle.
What else do we need to fight them?
Has anyone seen a bear? It's a good bear. Won't have any trouble.
Witches have known of the other worlds for thousands of years. Azrael is bringing a great war.
Then I hope I'm strong enough. Lord Azrael needs to die.
Lyra, now is the time to choose a side.
There are things. Such things.
Why am I so important to her?
Once the world sees the possibilities. No more oppression.
Please don't hurt me.
No more abuse. No more darkness.
The fate of more than this world depends on her.
It's like a movie.
Yeah. SM. Did you see that? His Dark Materials, and it said SM instead of TM. Look up what that means.
Is it a BBC thing?
It could be. I didn't realize BBC was a part of that.
I didn't either.
Don't sleep on BBC.
They got it going on.
Yeah.
It's cool that it's like collabing with HBO.
Yeah.
Two big things.
Yeah.
So you've seen it.
I'm watching it. So it's
Watching
coming out
it.
every Sunday, I think, and there's like 6 episodes. So I caught up last week, and then had to wait for this most recent one. But I guess it follows that same Golden Compass storyline. It's that main character, Lyra, who's the little girl who's like some kind of there's like a prophecy that she's destined to do great things or whatever. And then, I don't know, I'm still hazy on some of it, but there's like this magisterium, which is kind of like a religious group that is like the government that controls the whole, is like in charge of the world. And there's secrets that they're hiding and all this stuff, and I don't know all about it, but you saw in like the Northern Lights at the beginning, there's some kind of like other world that they're trying to get to where the magisterium wouldn't be the ruler. And then magisterium may know about it, may not, I don't know, but they're trying to keep that a secret, I guess. I don't know. But Lyra's got a big part of it, and she can also read the alethiometer.
The Golden Compass.
Which is a golden compass, which basically, when you ask it the right questions, it'll tell you the truth.
Like a Ouija board.
Yeah. I guess. So I don't know. I'm still figuring it out, but it's been a really cool.
Well, obviously the Golden Compass, but that's part of a 3-book series, which are like young adult books, like mocking. What's it called? Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Harry Potter, stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely in that fantasy line. Like it's
so someone who's read those books and is listening to you probably is like, this guy does not know what's going on.
Probably, I haven't seen the books or seen the Golden Compass movie.
No, but I noticed when I was just like looking it up that all of the people, not all of, I don't want to make anyone mad, but it seems like most of the people who had a problem with the movie or even the show are people who are like diehard fans of the books.
Yeah.
Which is always the case, I feel like, because they're like, well, they left these things out.
Yeah,
and
that's...
Yeah, so I think that's fun.
You're not going to please everyone.
No,
Yeah.
especially the book was better.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good like fantasy story that you're just trying to figure out, and the world is unique and cool. I think you have it in here, but the demons are not like bad demons. It's just demons. It's part of your like soul in animal form, which I thought is really cool. And when you become of age, your demon becomes like one animal. But when you're younger, it like changes.
It's like in
to like whatever it needs to be.
Like in Coco.
Yeah, like a spirit dog. What is his name?
The dog's name?
Yeah.
Oh, I forget. I've seen Coco like 4 times, but I forget.
Yeah.
It's like a cool name too.
Yeah. But
Dante.
Dante, yes.
I knew it was a D. I was trying to think I was Duncan, but my friend's dog was Duncan when we were younger, so.
Yeah, so actually, like, if you kill someone's demon, you, like, pretty much kill the person.
Oh, wow.
So,
And some of them are like little bunnies.
yeah.
So
And,
that-
like, a lot of them, like, cats and, like, different things. So I don't know what Lyra's is, but right now it's Pan. His name's Pan, and he changes from, like, a weasel to a cat to, like, a little fox when they go up north. And right? It'd be the best. Just like having them like hung around, and they talk, so you can be like Pan's like, hey, Lyra, what about this? And like it's like, yeah, go Pan. And the bear is not a demon. The bear's
a bear.
He's a bear, and it's like equivalent to humans in this world. Like they got their own bear tribe, but the bear's awesome. My favorite. I like big animals.
Really cool.
Yeah.
I never even saw the movie, but I remember like when I would see the trailer as a kid, I was like, oh, that looks so cool. Like a big polar bear. And then when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, there he is.
Well, it's interesting that they only made one movie, which means they didn't do a good job and people didn't like it.
Yeah.
I don't think it did very well.
Right, because normally something like that whole, what do they call it, IP, like intellectual property, like the whole like franchise thing, they would just be like, okay, that made us 150 million, let's just go on to the next one.
Yeah.
Like everything.
Looks like HBO was kind of keeping an eye out.
Yeah.
And like Watchmen kind of dropped the ball with their movie. Now this Golden Compass movie didn't make it, so now they're like hitting us with these series that are
the
like
thing nowadays is I think people like HBO and Netflix, everything we talk about is like, let's invest money, make it 10 episodes and really tell the story.
Yeah.
Instead of taking a 1,200 page Harry Potter book and say, make it
I was just thinking
2 hours.
Can you imagine like a Harry Potter like
It would be insane.
series?
Oh my.
It would, yeah, they couldn't do it now because they made 8 movies, but it's just, but that's like,
They could have made 8 seasons.
Yeah. Like, that's what I feel like is going to be the thing now. Like, young adult series.
I wonder,
because like the Percy Jackson thing, that failed as a movie.
But does
Narnia failed as a movie?
Does Game of Thrones make more money than like a box office hit? I don't think so.
Well, so like
the Avengers versus
it's so, I don't know. I think HBO looks at it different because they're just looking for monthly subscriptions. They're not like, we need a solid number. And
but if you were a production company and you're going to make these shows or movies, do you want to make a blockbuster? Like,
That's true.
you know what I mean?
That's a good point.
But you can tell the story probably more effectively through a series like HBO. So it's almost like
yeah, but when you look at the production value of the end of Game of Thrones, they were printing money because of it. They were able to throw so much money into it, like the production. So they must have weighed it out like, this is making us a ton of money.
Right, but that's what I'm saying though. Is what would it have been that much or more if they had made like a Game of Thrones movie and put it in theaters?
I don't think it would have worked, so I don't think it would have made as much. Because each book of that is over 1,000 pages.
They did with Harry Potter though.
Right, but Harry Potter had like legs. Game of Thrones wasn't as popular of a book series as
Well,
Harry
anyways,
Potter.
I guess I'm just saying like sometimes movies will still make more money, and that could deter people from doing this series approach. But I think we all maybe prefer the series approach. As much as we love a good movie, when you get a story like of these magnitudes, it's better to tell more
that's
of it.
basically what I'm saying is when it comes to a multiple book series, I think people are going to say we might get better reception if it's a series than trying to cram everything into a movie.
Right.
Because I
just hope the creators do right by us.
Yeah. You were just saying the books were better crowd. That's how I feel about Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So.
And maybe again, that's why some of the first Golden Compass movie and Watchmen movie, you couldn't tell them in that amount of time. So.
Yeah.
The Golden Compass, though, won the Oscar for like best visual effects, and it won another big award. So like it wasn't all bad. And it had,
I
like,
want to see the
Nicole
movie
Kidman was in it.
now that I've seen when this show's over. I want to go and watch the Golden Compass movie and see how it relates.
I saw too that it was like it offended a lot of people. It came out in like 2008, so I don't know if like maybe movies were more like dissected back then, but it was like the religious group, I think, caused problems with like some audiences because I think they were like, I've never seen the movie, but it's like anti-religious, even though some parts are like a religious group.
Yeah, it is.
So,
the magisterium is like very like got a religious thing rather than like a government or like it's definitely a religion type based story. Yeah.
So maybe the studio was kind of like, we don't want to like be in a controversial like movie.
Yeah.
Just end it maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like the reviews for the show are really good.
Yeah.
Like much more well received than the movie.
I've been very, very hooked. We binged the first like 3 and then watched another one and then had to wait for the last one. So, but yeah, I'd check it out.
Sounds good. Yeah, it looked like exciting, and my thing is like, we were talking about this yesterday, how I was like, I just don't trust a show that's on like TBS.
Yeah.
Where, like looking at this, the shots of like it looks like they built a town.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and then they're on a ship. Look like the Hard Home episode of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It's just looks awesome,
Yeah.
in that they actually took the time.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of TV out there right now that is kind of like that thriller and can kind of be a little bit depressing. But when you jump into like the fantasy world, it's more of an adventure. And I think mixing those in to your repertoire of shows that you watch is kind of nice because
I think
it's not so depressed. It's more like a story and an adventure and like a, you know what I mean?
that's why The Mandalorian is so successful. Because you're in for 40 minutes. It's just fun and action and looks awesome for 40 minutes, and then you're
Good
out.
story, yeah, that's.
It
I
like
don't know,
carries
it's just-
over
yeah.
episode to episode, but it's not like I need to think about this. I need to.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that the SAG Award nominations came out either today or yesterday, and almost all of them are like HBO and Netflix?
Oh, really?
Like
Oh, wow.
almost every single nomination.
Wow.
And it's usually like Watchmen is nominated, Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, and then like The Morning Show got like the most
Wow.
nominations.
I heard the morning show had bad reviews.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah.
It was usually, I think, like Steve Carell got nominated. So I think it was more of like the
Jennifer
performances.
Aniston got nominated for something, right?
Yeah, so that must have been it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was like This Is Us was the only like cable TV show.
Yeah.
Got a lot
I
of
think those are dying, and until like Peacock comes out, I don't think they'll like throw a ton of money at something. I think that's gonna just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I still think they're a little different as far as like what they're going for. They're like
Well, they're
sitcoms.
sitcoms,
like
yeah.
The Good Place like is great. Like people watch that, and I think I could see it taking a bit of a turn down, but I still think there's a place for those kind of shows.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll just jump on a Netflix or something instead.
Yeah.
But I still think that type of show will be popular.
Yeah, my mom is a big fan of like some of the sitcoms on like ABC. Like
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
like the Modern
Chicago
Family.
Fire.
My sister watches that actually, but she likes there's like one called like American Housewife. That's just like 20 minutes of like a Modern Family type of vibe, and she loves it. So like she's like single-handedly the only person using like on demand in our house now. But they do have an audience.
Yeah, I feel like Netflix, like, have you seen the Santa Clarita Diet?
Yes.
I feel like that's kind of almost on that, like, sitcom-y type show. It's not, but it, like, almost is. It's almost like like one of those.
Just stretched out. They're like playing
and,
with
like,
it
the
a little
content's a little bit more, like, intense. But maybe we could do that one on a later show.
And did you ever hear of the show One Day at a Time? It was on Netflix.
No.
It was an original, but it's fully a sitcom.
Oh, really?
Like laugh track and everything.
Nice.
And
That's like The Ranch. I never watched it, but that's like a laugh track, like single camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it looks like a sitcom, but it was really successful. But it was just on Netflix.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way it's going.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Sounds good.
Very cool.
I think the next thing I might watch is actually Watchmen.
Oh, you should.
Because I'm like caught up to.
It is a doozy though. You're like, some of the episodes you're just like, this is so out of context. Like, what do you? What is? Why even have this scene? And then you're like, oh, that's what that was about. Like that's what that kind of show is, which is fun.
I see that it's #1 trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like every week.
Every Monday. I think that's.
talking about
I
it.
think that's the new like replace Game of Thrones. I think the way HBO did it was Game of Thrones, then Succession, which I didn't watch. And then now this is out. It's like we are owning this 9 o'clock on Sunday slot for the rest of time.
Yeah, it's definitely it's got some unique like storytelling.
Yeah.
And how they're presenting it is different than most shows. So.
There's just so much to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
And this is the time to watch it. Like we said, it's cold, rainy, and snowy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but watch stream it first, and then
Yeah.
you'll know what to go.
And then watch it.
Exactly. We'll tell you what to watch.
All right, well, I think that wraps it up for this episode. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, good to be back.
Promise.
Our Christmas episode.
Yeah.
Fun.